Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee and Darts. I'm your host, Matthew, and we've got an exciting show today. We're going to be talking about virtual darts, how to set up a league to do that. We'll be talking about league stuff, answering questions that have to do with that. If you've ever wanted to run a league, I've got the gentleman here that can certainly answer the questions, deal with the pitfalls, and players, because players are typically the biggest issue. But before we get started, I do want to reach out and thank my sponsors. Reach out and thank, whatever. We just want to thank the sponsors. Again, we want to thank Shot Darts for sponsoring the Coffee and Darts show and Darts with Dylan. And so thank you to Shot Darts. Don't forget to check them out at shotdarts.com. They've got some really cool barrels coming out. They've got some new stuff on the way that I got a sneak peek at yesterday. You guys are going to love, I mean, absolutely love some of the cool barrels they've got coming out for this fall. And they've got some new signings, and so that's going to be fun and exciting, and we will be talking about that over the next month or so. Also want to thank Magicwear and Jennifer Mounts over there. These are just incredible jerseys. They're wonderful fun. The colors are great. The prints are great. They're comfortable. They don't bind in the arms. The pockets are nice. Just great products. So if you're in the need of a jersey just for yourself or your team or maybe your league, check out Magicwear and magicwear.com. And Jennifer Mounts will be back on with us in a couple of weeks, and we'll be diving into more fun dart stuff. But before that happens, let's bring Bob on, and we'll get into talking about remote leagues. Hey, Bob, how's it going?
Hey, good morning, Matthew. How are you?
I'm doing good. How you been?
Been great. Excited to get up in the morning and have some coffee. I've got my coffee. Thanks for Quill Street Roasters for some good coffee here.
We're going to change your mug up.
Local roaster, by the way.
Okay. I like. Well, you can have their beans. I'm going to change your mug up, though. We're going to get you one.
Yeah, I like that mug. I got to get one of those. I do have my darts here too, so I'm prepared. I've got my GSDDA dart shirt on that was made by Rob Venter, and I'm ready to talk some darts.
You're ready to talk some darts? Well, that's awesome. We're going to talk darts. We're going to talk about leagues. We're going to talk about the GSDDA. And what that stands for, because I'm sure a lot of people are wondering. But before we get into it, how did you get into darts? That's kind of the first question. It's like everybody wants to know, how did you start playing darts?
Yeah, so I mean, going all the way back to, I was probably like 10 years old or so that my dad introduced me into darts. We always had three things going on in the household there. We had pool, darts, and ping pong. In fact, we even had at the end of the year, my mom's birthday is New Year's Eve, and so we had a big tournament at our house. You know, they talked about you'd have the state championship or the world championship, that kind of thing. That was nothing compared to what we had, which was the best on the block. So we lived on a little cul-de-sac, and we'd have friends over, family, and we'd have a big tournament that included like a triathlon of pool, darts, and ping pong. And so, you know, my dad would constantly beat me at all three of those. And I remember the day that I beat him first time, you know, at that and at chess and so on. So, you know, I kind of grew up with having darts in my family. And then I kind of just got lost for a while, and, you know, college and stuff took over, and I had a gap of probably 20 some years that I didn't even touch a dart. So then my son's playing Little League Baseball, and our coach, Brian Lester, one day he says, you know, I'm gonna be late today because I have Dart League. And I said, you have what? Yeah, Dart League. So that's how I got introduced to the GSDA, actually, is through my son's coach and friend, Brian and Tracy, and they got me into the GSDDA, and I guess the rest is history.
Nice. And just so that everybody knows, I am also a player in the GSDDA. I found them looking for some place to play a couple years ago, and got in contact with Bob, and he invited me to a Saturday tournament. It was to go to the tournament in Vegas. You know, if I won, which of course I didn't, I'm like, what am I doing? But it was an interesting to see, you know, and be a part of that. And I'll say it was well run, and at the same time, all the players were super nice. That was the thing that that grabbed me. You know, I played JD that day, and JD is it's an unfortunate thing that the darts world doesn't know more about this guy. He's a great guy and he's a phenomenal darts player. But he knowing that he was going to crush me, he was very nice and gentle with how he did it, and he was, you know, he's very helpful. So it was nice to walk into that. Yeah. So okay, so you're into darts, you're playing darts, you've joined the GSDDA, and that was a while ago. You didn't come in, you know, like on the board. You kind of played, I'm assuming. I wasn't a part of it back then, so I'm not sure. How long have you been with the GSDDA?
So I've been playing darts with them for, I had to go back and look it up, but it's been about 6.5 years now. So I'm still a newbie compared to some people. You know, my GSDDA membership number is up in the what, 2000s area, and there's a few people that I know that are in the, you know, 500s. So it's got kind of a long history, but I just basically showed up and was a sub on a Thursday team. You know, I played maybe 3 times in the course of that first season, and like you mentioned, just the people are what kept me there. You know, just really great people, and respectful of each other. We have a good time. People of all kinds of different backgrounds and so on, but we all come together, and I feel like it's a brotherhood. You know, brother and sisterhood is the way I look at it. It's almost anywhere across the country you can find a dart league or dart association, and they'll just welcome you in. That's what's been really cool experience for me is it's just that common bond that we have. You know, you could have totally different backgrounds in other ways, but we come together and we play this game because we love it, and you know, we love hanging out and playing darts with each other.
Yeah, and that's very true, because there's definitely some different dynamics just within our organization, let alone other organizations. There's people that kind of, you know, may have a different type of lifestyle, we'll say, or might do things slightly different, but we all come together on, you know, whatever evening it is that we're playing, and all of that goes aside. You're just having a good time playing darts. You're able to chat about stuff, and just all of that stuff doesn't enter the door when we get there. And that's part of the fun. It's part of the relaxation that you get when we go and play darts. So I much appreciate the atmosphere that you guys have created as I joined a few years ago. So what got you to decide? I've never asked this of you. What I just assumed you'd been president forever and a day when I joined. So what got you there? I mean, did they suck you into it? Did you step into that?
Well, when I started there, our longtime president, Leo Linneman, was running things, and he did really a phenomenal job. He put so much into that league. It's unbelievable. In fact, you know, to honor him, we have our awards plaque is called the Leo Linneman Award for Excellence in Darts, and we have that as a perpetual trophy hanging up in our main venue, the Fleet Reserve in Poway here. He basically you know, did everything in terms of organizing teams, you know, collecting the dues, you know, he basically put money into the league to help it along when it needed to. Just really a great guy, and I got kind of involved to where I wanted to give more back to the league. So I heard about the board of directors. You know, I expressed some interest in being on the board, and I ended up joining the board. From there, I was just an at-large member, and at a certain point, Leo had some health issues, and at this time, I was kind of taking on running one of the leagues, and you know, we talked, and he said, "Hey, you know, Bob, it's really time for me to step aside. Would you be interested in kind of picking things up?" And the board, you know, certified me as president, and so there you go. But I mean, I get so much help from other people too. That's one of my mantras. I would say, if you're going to be running a league or involved in a league, get some people around you that can help you out, because it's really too much of a task for one person to take on. It's just not. It becomes not fun if you're doing everything.
Yeah, it seems. Oh, there's Mrs. Atomic there with some noise. And yeah, I've seen you guys. I've been, I've gotten there early and seen the board meetings, and I've been on boards, so I know the amount of additional work that goes in. So I will say to those that are out there that are playing in a league and you're not involved with the leadership, understand that they do a lot of work to make it so that you can walk into wherever you play and play darts. That, let alone make it a fair environment, make it something that's functional. Just keep that in mind. There's a lot of work that goes in behind this. So you're president of the board. Things are flowing along. I guess some of the questions that have come across is like, how would one, if they were in an area, what's something that someone could do to help start a league? Is there someone they contact? Are we associated with someone that allows us to go places? What's that like?
Yeah, we are associated with the ADO, the American Darting Organization, and part of our dues goes into being part of that association. And so that's where, as you were mentioning, that Saturday that you came in, that you were playing in one of our local qualifiers, which then could get you to go to a regional to play all the way at the national level. So it's kind of a path from our league all the way up to really you can end up getting a seat playing in Europe all the way through that, if you get all the way to the top. So but I would say if somebody's trying to set something up, it's tough these days because of the fact of what COVID has done in terms of our bars and that kind of thing, that it's difficult to have a base. But if you're interested in it, Facebook's love it or hate it, there's some great information out there in terms of where dart players are, start up a page or interface with some other people in the online world, and you can get some help in that way. I try to be fairly active on all the dart forums and make myself available to answer questions for people. But just starting out, I've already talked to some other people that they've already started kind of a little micro league, and they're interested in getting into joining the GSDDA. It's really word of mouth thing. Like I said, I ran into my son's coach, and that's how I found my way to this league. So I try to promote and talk about darts almost everywhere I go. It probably drives some people nuts, but at work, one of the guys that's in our league now, he met me through work. So just always be talking about it. People ask you what you're doing this weekend. Oh, I'm playing in a dart qualifier. What's that? It just kind of builds some momentum. That's what, as the president and even as just a casual dart player, I'm always trying to promote the sport.
Yeah, and I think that's key for everybody, is to talk about it. I don't talk about it much at all. That's a joke. I'm always talking about darts. So I love it so much that I do this. So hey guys, and real quick to everybody, if you're out there and you're getting some good information from Bob and myself, please hit the like button and smash that heart. And if you're over on YouTube watching this, go ahead and hit the like button. That's always a good thing. So Bob, you're into it, you're talking with people about it, but COVID, of course, happened, and that happened to our league. What has that done for Darts League, and what are we doing to kind of get back to darts life without being able to go somewhere place to play?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's facing so many leagues and tournaments, and you look around and see all the great tournaments that have been canceled or postponed this year, and people really, it's out of our control, right? It's in the state health board and so on. We don't have any choice in the matter. If our venues are closed, then we have to do something different. We had some great momentum going before all of this happened, and we had a couple leagues going. The GSDDA was really huge at one time. I mean, back in the 90s and even all the way going back to the 80s, there were, thousands of players. There were so many players, great players, and I felt like we were building momentum. We had added some other bars and venues, and then this happened, and I got together with the board and said, hey, I really think we need to do something for this upcoming summer session. I want to try doing a remote league. I don't want to lose this momentum. I want to keep these players active and involved. And, what can we do about that? I had some experience prior to COVID happening where I played webcam darts. And then when it did get going, I set up and ran a pretty good online league as well, played in another association's league. And so I felt prepared to go ahead and bring it forward. So, we got together, the board said, yeah, let's go for it. And we set this up. So you're one of the members playing it. And I think it's had a little rough start. The biggest challenge, I would say, is dart players and technology are not always like aligned. They're kind of, it was almost like getting dart players to answer an email was unheard of at one time. Now we have a couple messenger chats that we schedule matches in. You can teach an old dog new tricks. So basically we got going on this, and I can get into details about what kind of technology we used and so on for it. But my impetus was just to keep the momentum going and not lose touch with the people. And, hey, keep your game going. If you don't play, you're going to get rusty. You're not going to improve. The goal is to have fun, but it's also to be competitive and keep sharpening your game. And so I wanted to provide that opportunity to people. And so that's where that all came from.
And see, let's talk a little bit about technology, because there are a number of different options out there that people can do. I know that we use basically 2 programs primarily to kind of make the whole thing function. What are some of the things that you looked at, maybe potential pitfalls in some of them, and what's working?
Sure. So when I started out playing some webcam darts, I ended up going to this site, webcamdarts.com, which is it's basically a purpose-built application that is set up to play 501 or 01 type games. And it's a free site. I donate to it every year. Andrew Hare is the guy who runs that. That would be a great guy to have on this show, by the way. It's like a massive pickup game of darts. So you have a lobby that you go into, and it shows all the players that are online, and you can go green, and you're now ready to play. So it kind of lists everybody on there, and they have their average listed. Usually I don't really pay attention to that. If somebody hits me up for a game, I'll play. So it's almost like going to the park and with your basketball, showing up and playing a pickup game. So this is really great if you want to play some darts at any time of the day, 24/7. Reason being, it's worldwide. I've played people all over the world, which is great because I've had conversations with people I could barely understand from Scotland. You think about trying to have a conversation with Gary Anderson. It's kind of funny, but people from Australia, people from all across the country, all different levels. That's really great if you just want to go get some games in. So that's where I first got introduced to that. Like I said, it's dedicated to 01. There's no cricket that you can play on there. Although we've used it just as a video interface. We've played some cricket leagues actually online by just using Dart Connect combined with that. But it's basically made for a pickup game essentially on the web. So that's the first thing. Second thing is core technology. I mean, Dart Connect's the best. You can't get better than Dart Connect. It revolutionized our league before remote darts. Okay, the fact that what Leo used to do, Leo Linneman, when he ran the league, he would people would email. They wouldn't email. They would fax or they would mail their league results to him, and he would, in some crazy spreadsheet or piece of paper, he would try to compile all of the standings and stats and so on. And sometimes there were errors in that. You never knew like what your per dart average and all that was. All of a sudden, Dart Connect comes along. We have all the stats. We have an easy scoring method, and we can play it online. So that's the next stage of technology there.
Nice. Yeah, and I came in, you guys were using Dart Connect to basically score stuff. It wasn't the whiteboard where someone's trying to score for you. So I love it. I mean, I love the particular program. And just so that everybody knows, Matt Stoner is going to be on Monday, and he's an ambassador for Dart Connect. So we're going to dive deep into how to use that, how to make it function, and we're going to talk a little bit other cool, crazy Dart stuff that he's got to talk about. That'll be on Monday. But so we're using Dart Connect, but what are we using for video stuff? And like with webcam darts, do you need multiple cameras? Can you just get away with the one camera? What other little technology are you using so people can see and there's not cheating going on?
Right. So first of all, to talk about cheating, it's, play with people that you want to play with. That's my first thing. People can cheat in any different ways, especially on the webcam. You can have a not perfect view of the board, but literally you're cheating yourself if you're cheating. Every dart player knows that. What we use for this league that I'm running right now is we use a combination of Dart Connect, which does all the scoring, and we can remote connect each other together. And then we're using Zoom for the video end of it. And some of the players have a nice webcam set up with a tripod or something like that. Others are actually using a cell phone. Cell phone cameras are amazing. These things, they're as good or better than a lot of webcams. So you can set that up and use it with either Zoom or Messenger or Discord. There's a lot of different video technologies to use to do that. To me, it's not so much the preventing the cheating, but just having the interaction with your opponent. You can see what they're shooting at. It makes it more fun. You can hear their scores, that kind of thing. It adds in some other weird pitfalls too, but you hear what's going on in the household that's happening, and some of these webcam matches have been educational, I guess.
Yeah.
But basically, if you want to run an online league, I would say Dart Connect is a must. It keeps all of the scores for you as a league administrator. Set it up in league mode so that you can keep track of all the scores and so on. And then there's so many options in terms of the video end. Like I said, Messenger, Zoom, Discord is a great platform where you can actually have kind of chat rooms built in, and everybody's got their contact information. Probably the next league I run, I'm going to see if we can get everybody on Discord, because it's a lot easier to manage and organize those matchups. So yeah, but the basic core is have a dartboard, have it well lit, have Dart Connect, and have a camera set up, and you're good to go.
Yeah, and I've looked at Discord for other things. I'm a member of that for some other websites and stuff that I follow. Discord, if you're not familiar with this, it's just an incredible platform to communicate with people about certain subjects. And some of the people I follow, I mean, there's just multiple little channels within Discord. So you can have people that are talking about maybe 501 specific or just 501 matches, and then you can have your cricket teams. And it's really nice how it breaks it down. And just to show you guys, because I know that's always the question, is like, what gear do I need? Just a simple little tripod will work. Those are things. There's things like the Jobies, which is this thing will wrap around something so you can put your camera or your phone someplace. There's phone holders. There's little things that you can do to make the experience more fun. I happen to have like an arm that stretches out that allows people to see my board really well, and I have a tablet next to it so that we can see what's going on from a Darts Connect perspective. So it really kind of keeps everything, in my opinion, fair. Can you see how far I am away from the dartboard? No, but I'll tell you this: if you've ever tried playing darts from 4 feet away, you suck worse than if you're further away. There's a reason that distance is there. So don't cheat yourself that way. For sure.
If you're trying to set your video up, my advice would be to try to get your camera about bullseye height. That provides the best perspective. And then if you're kind of off axis, if you take, say, the 6 and move a foot over from there, that's about the right orientation for your camera to shoot over at an angle. And then I've got mine on a tripod about I would say it's about 3 feet from the board and facing the board. So that works great. I've seen some setups that are not so great, and some that are better than mine. People get really creative. They've got, things dangling down and permanent structures and this kind of thing. But yeah, just and try to zoom it in to where your screen is pretty much the board. Don't have your tablet and all that out there. Just get it zoomed in nice and tight is the best.
Yeah, yeah. And if you're curious of a setup, I'm gonna throw this out there. Will Stewart over at Quarantine Darts. If you look at his setups, he's got some really nice setups, and he'll explain to you how he does it. He's got some permanent pieces that are installed to the wall, but his stuff looks really good. It's crisp, it's clear, and that's the key thing with the virtual darts is having enough light and having a good view of your dartboard, because you want the same thing. I've played some people in League where the lighting and stuff isn't as great, and that's just it's the learning curve that we go through. So I don't hold that against anybody, but that's the key thing, is just making it sure that everybody's seeing what they need to see and it's fair. And the worst part of anything is to question whether the guy across the screen is doing something that may not be right. And he may not be cheating, but you may feel like he's cheating because you can't see it really well. It's not a good feeling when playing under those things. I've played a couple people on webcam darts and some other things where it was like, that didn't look like to me that you hit what you said you hit. So how do you deal with that, Bob? How do you?
Let me just a few things. I think just etiquette wise, the way that you should play a match is there's a particular order you should go in, and that is that you throw your darts, you verbally call your score. So this is one thing that's more important now in the virtual darts or online darts than in person. You call your score before you even touch your darts, and then you enter your score into Dart Connect, and then you pull your darts. And so that gives an opportunity for basically you to do the math right, to confirm with your opponent. Your opponent gets a chance to look at that and go on from there. So if you kind of do it in that order, that's one good thing. Another thing is, I wish I could kind of illustrate this graphically, but if you throw, say, a ton 40, if you pull your single and then you kind of show with an angle, pull down that you show that it's in the triples, that's a good etiquette thing to do. So it's not required by anyone as far as I know, but it helps to illustrate where it is, I've got older eyes, so sometimes I'll call a score and I'll say, by the time I get to the board, I'm like, you know what? Nope, that wasn't in the triple. That was a single. So get all the way up to the board, call your score, illustrate it if you have to with a little toggle, and then pull your darts. So that's one thing. Another thing is the online game happens way faster. You're not waiting for the next person for your opponent to get out of the way before you can go throw. That whole rhythm is another thing that's new and different that you'll have to get used to. But what I've found is maybe I'm trying to slow my game down a little bit in terms of that scoring loop, because sometimes there's also a propagation delay between when the video gets to them. It's not exactly real time. So to avoid improprieties or the feeling that somebody's not doing something right, maybe just take another few heartbeats before you pull those darts and go from there.
So just so that everybody knows what he's talking about, when your dart, I thought that would stick in there. Okay, so if your dart's in the dartboard like this, you can pull it down, you can wiggle it so someone can see, if it's next to the wire, that type of thing. And what I'll do typically is I'll pull the single, like Bob said, and then I'll point my finger. I'll literally put it on the board and be like, here's where they're going into, whether it's the triple 20, the triple 19, whatever. If it looks like it could be a questionable thing, I'll point my finger at it. I'll wiggle the dart so that there's something there. The other thing that I've been doing, Bob, when I've been playing people on League, is we'll call the score, we'll put everything into Dart Connect, but I don't hit the enter button so that it sends it back to them. I then do the stuff with the darts, pull them, then I hit enter, so it gives that lag of time as if I went and pulled my darts and I'm walking back.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So it gives a couple more seconds, because I don't remember who I was playing when we first started League, and like I had thrown before I had even walked back to look at the screen, and I hadn't even gotten there. They had already called their thing and thrown their darts, and they were pulling them, and I'm like, I'm not even back to the Aki yet, and I'm like, that's 7 feet. So we had to slow that game down because they were throwing when I was pulling my darts, and
it's better. I mean, I would say that's not great etiquette to just slow down, and people are just learning. It's not like that's intentional that they're trying to throw your game off or something like that. That's another thing to, as an administrator, as somebody running something, is this is all new to us, and so giving a little leeway, let's say, in terms of don't be heavy-handed in terms of enforcing something at this time, because we're all learning about it. This is at GSDDA. This is our first season ever doing this. So, working with schedules and people's technical capabilities and this kind of thing, it's going to be a learning curve. How we interface with each other etiquette-wise, that's a great idea you just had of not hitting the enter button yet. These are things that people will eventually learn, but be patient with your opponent, with yourself, with the league. That's a key right now, I think.
Yes, no one wants to be Gerwin Price throwing darts over Peter Wright's head and still trying to get off the Aki. I don't think any of us can afford that boo-boo. So out of curiosity, I know, there's probably been some comments, and we don't have to talk specifically GSDDA like with what's going on virtual, but there have probably been issues in the past where darts players have butted heads. And how do you deal with that as president? I mean, you kind of have to police the situation, or at least watch over the situation and make sure things don't get out of hand. What do you do in that case?
I mean, there's obviously some red lines in terms of if you're physical with someone or verbally abusive, that's basically a red line right there, right? But there's also just basic, there'll be conflicts that are not on that level. Someone may feel that the other player was trying to put them off intentionally and that kind of thing. First thing is really first see if the players themselves can sort it out, okay, between the two players. My job is not to get in between two players if they have that kind of thing. It's to facilitate something, and if there is a violation, first you guys talk it out, then I'm going to talk to the both of you together. Then maybe we need to get another party involved. In the GSDDA, really, there's the rules enforcement person who isn't the president. That's actually a separate position. Get that person involved. But the first thing is just really having communication and sitting down with the people and making sure we sort it out. Thankfully, with this group, there's been few and far between have things like that happened. But you get a group of people together. Occasionally, there's alcohol involved in darts. I don't know if you've heard about that, but sometimes there's people drinking.
Picklebacks. I'm not going to make any comments about picklebacks or anything like that.
So keep in mind that we are amateurs. We're not the PDC. We're not even the CDC, which is what's going on here in the Americas. We're a local league. People they have regular lives and jobs. There's new people. There's people that don't know all the rules. Reach out and help them grow as players. Help us grow as an organization. And there will be conflicts, but it's mainly just sitting down and working it out. We've had a couple cases where we did have, actually the board had admonished a player, and that's happened before. But for the most part, people want to hang out and have fun. We do have some clear rules set aside in terms of etiquette. We always start and end with well, it used to be a handshake. I don't know if we do that anymore, but say good darts. You're basically mortal enemies during the tournament that you're in, and before and after, you're buds. So that's how I approach it.
Yeah, I truly want everybody to lose that I play against, but not so much so that I want to do anything to harm them. But I mean, that's good information, because I know everybody's going to end up dealing with some situations, where you feel like you've been slighted, or you're going to see people that might feel like they've been slighted. And I've been witness to a couple of things that have happened. And it's a matter of you get emotions. Some players are really into the match, that what's going on, and they don't want the outside interference. And when you've got 6 or 12 boards going at the same time, there's outside interference, and so emotions can run, in these types of things. And you need to know your players. And I would assume, as being president, everybody's kind of personality types, and when you put two people together, that that's the one match tonight where if there's going to be an issue, it could be here. You just have to watch over those things. So
yeah. I mean, thankfully, it doesn't come up that often, but communicate, get the people together, talk about it, talk to them individually, do your information research before you kind of draw a conclusion. And another thing is keep it between the parties involved. Don't get a bunch of other people involved, until that just spreads rumors and issues. I would prefer to get the parties involved together without a whole bunch of other people involved in that, and try to settle disputes in that way.
Yeah. And just remember, it's darts, and if you're not making a living at it, it's just a game. Don't worry about it. There's always next week. So there is a question, Bob, here from the Scottish lad, talking about online darts sites that people can use. What, in your opinion, is the best? Those webcam darts, but I think they're all a little bit different. Is it, which ones have you used? What's your opinion on those? And I'll give my answer too.
In terms of the different platforms that are available. Yeah. So like I said, the best place to just get games in is to go to webcamdarts.com. Okay, because it's a pickup environment. You can play anybody at any level at any time of the day. So there's that. In terms of scoring applications, I mean, like I said, Dart Connect's absolutely the best. And there's some other leagues, not really leagues, that are popping up. Like there's this one called Title Shot that I just joined, and it's like a ladder. You can find it on Facebook, but they've got a Google Doc that has different events, and you can challenge the next two people above you to a match, and you just try to keep working your way up that ladder. And it's like a perpetual ladder that goes on. So there's that kind of thing. They rely on using Messenger as their video. I think Messenger isn't the best fidelity, but it's ubiquitous in that everybody who's on Facebook has it, right? So you don't have to go and explain to them how to install Zoom or Discord or some other kind of software. It's already there for you. Google Meets will work for it. I mean, it's really, I don't know. There's in terms of the best looking image, I feel like Zoom seems to be the best in terms of how it looks on the screen to me. Right after that, I would say Discord is great if you're going to run a league, because you just have to hit the call button and you're connected with the other person. The downside of that is you got to somehow get all these Dart players to install a piece of software on their machine. That's potentially a challenge, especially when we're social distancing and we don't all get together for a league meet or something like that. So I don't know. Go and experiment. It's a frontier. There's a lot going on. There's people who play. I see a comment about NO1. That's another platform that I've played on as well. Didn't seem like there was as many people using it in the live environment as webcam darts. But experiment and have fun and find some other platforms. You'll run into more and more players.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I've used webcam darts a couple of times. I play soft tip. I like the Darts Connect situation, being able to just connect with people on, or not Darts Connect, the Grand Board, and using the Grand Board and being able to connect with people through that. So that's always been a way for me to play that. But I like the webcam darts. I'm feeling more comfortable doing that. So for me, those are the ones that I've looked at a lot of them. I've paid to use a lot of them and never really gotten into it. But there's just so much out there. Find one that you feel comfortable using. You like the way the platform works, And so what if there's not a million people using that one? There's only 100,000 people. You're still going to find someone that you can play, be competitive with, and enjoy. And speaking of Dart Connect, and they run their own tournaments. There's all kinds of little things that you can do with that program if you dive into it and find people to play using that. Because again, it's interconnected. You can play someone that's in another country literally with that program. So there are plenty of things out there to stay connected to the darts community and play. And if you're putting on a league, so a question that came across that was asked earlier this week that I want to make sure we get to before we end here, the ABC league standings or settings, or however you want to call that. You've got your A players, your B players, your C players. How is that determined? How do you go about kind of picking that situation?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, it's the hardest part in terms of running a league. As president and trying to set up these rosters, there's potentially going to be people's feelings hurt because they wanted to be in this league, or I put them in a league that they didn't think they were supposed to be in. Basically, Dart Connect gives us a great tool there. So the more we play in Dart Connect, the more your average shows up. And eventually, I mean, you are who you are in terms of what your average is. And so as I get that data from my league, I pretty much, depending on the number of people, I sit down and I kind of do a sort by their Dart Connect average, and that gives me great insight. Now you have some new people that'll show up, so you got to kind of try to do some kind of assessment of them. And it's funny. I'll tell you, more than often, I'll ask a new player, well, what's your average? Oh yeah, I think I average probably about 70 or so. I'm like, wow, really? You're a phenomenal player. And until they start playing some games on Dart Connect, nobody really understands or knows what average means. You find out, oh, I had one game where I had a 70 average. That doesn't mean you average 70, but it helps. It's easier now because of the stats that are available. Because I have a good argument, let's say, to say, yeah, you belong at this level because these are your stats. Now it's kind of it's a little chicken and egg, because the better players you play, the better your scores are going to get. That's a real given. And I want to try to push people to go to the next level. You're not going to get better by continuing to play people that are beneath you. I feel like I like playing somebody that's just a little bit above me, because we have a good battle together and it's still pushing me to get better. So yeah, I mean, long and short is people will complain. I've made as many accommodations as I can for people that said, I really think I should be in this. But at the end of the day, I want it to be a growing experience for everyone, and let them be competitive and be where they ought to be in it. And Dart Connect helps with that.
Yeah.
Oh, and I forgot to mention one other program that I use, which is Challenge. It's Challenge spelled with an O in there. That's what I use for all my scheduling, because it creates a whole map of the schedule. That's a really great tool. So look into that one. It's free with ads and stuff. If you pay for it, you can get rid of the ads.
Cool. Yeah, I noticed that I was seeing that as well as a program that was being used. So in regards to the ABC, and for me, I don't mind being a big fish in a smaller pond. So I don't have, moving up to the next level isn't always, for me, I'm like, well, wait, I can beat all these people. I want to stay here. But, the moving up, you do get the challenge, and you get to have the fun of trying to compete against people that are a little bit better than you, and in some cases, much better than you. But what's the defining for an ABC? And I guess it depends on the number of players you have. You may have just an A and a B league. It really kind of determines how many players are going to be playing in the league in itself. But is there a cutoff point that you have, or?
Well, yeah, in my experience, and again, it depends on the size of your league, how you're going to cut it up. But what I've seen just from like playing a lot of people on webcam darts and playing in the league and so on is I could see kind of three bins where you've got people that are under 50 average, let's say. And then kind of that 50 to 60 or 65, that's kind of the middle range. And then those guys that are 65, 70 and above, that's kind of how I see the dart world divided up. Total beginners will come in and they're probably averaging, maybe in 01, they're probably averaging 30 or something like that, because they're just learning the game. And but those are three pretty good break points, I think. Under 50, 50 to 65, 65 and above, that's a pretty good gauge.
Yeah, and again, I've been playing in the league for a while, and I've seen that, and there are certainly some players that would be in what would be the C League, that if they were playing the A players, it would be very discouraging. They probably wouldn't come back. It wouldn't be as much fun. And some of those A players, and typically when your averages are that good, you're much more competitive. You're really spending time on your game, and you have a mentality that you want to beat the other person. You're not just there for the fun aspect of it. And I could see that becoming very discouraging for someone, and they just would never come back.
Right. The other thing about dividing it that way is if you're playing 501 and you're an A player, you're finishing games in 20 some darts or 18 or something like that. Those games you can play more legs. So the way I've set up this format, for example, the top division plays more legs in a match than the middle, than the bottom one, and that's just makes it so that you can have a league night that doesn't go on forever. Yeah. If you try to take C players and tell them they're going to play, best of 18 or something like that, that's never going to happen. They need to be playing best of 5 or sometimes a best of 3 if they're just total beginners. So that's important too, is the time that it takes to play a match. If you average more, you can finish a game faster.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what we see in the PDC. Those guys, in most cases can clean up, they can go best of 11 and it's a half hour,
Yeah.
If that, in some cases, depending on how the game's going. I've seen them in like 10 minutes. They're like, done, next. So that is a big thing to take into consideration if you're looking at running a league, is the quality of play as far as what's the averages and how long does it take. If you're averaging in the 30s or the 40s, how many darts is it really taking you to clear out that game, that match against someone else? You might need 10 minutes per or maybe more. And so you got to factor those things in. So those are good insights when trying to set it up. Let's talk really quickly, because I know we're a little over time, but we'll try and end it here. But we've talked a lot about 01, cricket. So cricket being a big sport here in America, not so much elsewhere. It's gaining grounds. Running a league, is there any difference really when it comes to cricket, or is it just pretty much the same thing?
Well, it's the same thing, but it's cricket's a different kind of game, obviously, because you're actually changing your opponent's board. Okay, that's why I see the difference between 01 and cricket, is you as a player are affecting what the other player's board is once you've closed something and so on. I do think in remote darts, there's also a challenge, is again, you need to really slow down and take a pause when you mark your score. Make sure you have it right before you turn it over to the next player, because it can affect what they're going to throw at, right? So you got to make sure you're clear on that. The other interesting thing about cricket is time-wise, it's not anymore. It's not about how fast. Like if you're a really good player in 01, you're going to finish a game in a certain number of darts, right? Cricket is the more evenly matched two players are, the longer a game can go. Yeah. So typically, I would say maybe reduce the number of legs, because if you have a lot of evenly matched players and they're going to be fighting, they get into a 1,000-point scoring game or something like that, which can happen. That can also take some time. So, but yeah, it's kind of the same thing. We've got a little side cricket tournament now going. You're involved in that. It's fun. It's fun to mix it up, I think. I enjoy the game. I think it's a great game. But yeah, it's kind of the same. We also collect averages on that as well. So Dart Connect's keeping that for us. So it lets you do some ranking on that as well.
Yeah, and it's fun. I did lose my first match, so I'm in the losers bracket because we're playing that type of we're not playing the standard where you might play everybody.
Yeah.
So I can't think of the name of it right now, but
round robin versus
round robin. Thank you.
Yeah.
Round robin. So I did lose, but I lost to one of the better players, so I don't feel bad, and I took some stuff away from him, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. I was crushing the bullseyes, which was really nice. But it's fun. It's this enjoyable situation. You get to play with people. So if you're thinking about starting a remote league and you're out there and you're watching this, look into it. Contact Bob. Contact some other people. Reach out to those that are in the darts community and figure out who's doing stuff that are running a remote league, or ask the questions. It's possible to do in this time of COVID to keep the darts community going and growing, which is the key thing. If you're home all day and you don't have a lot to do, get yourself a dartboard, get yourself a set of darts, start playing darts, and join the community, and help your friends to do that. I've been giving out dartboards to all my neighbors and telling them, I'm like, hey, dude, like I had new neighbors move in. I'm like, here's a dartboard, here's some darts. Hey, let's play sometime, come on over, we'll hang out, trying to grow the sport as much as possible. Bob, I really appreciate you being here. We're a little over time, and I want to be respectful of your time. If you hold on just for a second, once I close it down, we'll still be on. I just want to cover, go over a couple things. I just want to see how things are going for you and the family. So everybody, thanks for watching. Bob, again, thanks for being on. If someone wanted to reach out to you, how could they connect with you on Facebook to ask these questions?
Yeah, so just send me a PM. You can find me, Bob Hamilton, on Facebook, or you can send an email to gsdda180@gmail.com. You can find me there. And because of this remote league, people from all over the place are welcome to join the GSDDA to play in our upcoming fall league, which will probably be starting in 3 or 4 weeks or so. Or just hit me up for any questions, advice. I'm an average dart player, but I'm passionate about it, and I'm willing to help anyone who has interest as well.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. And I will say, I know we've got some players that had moved out of state that are playing in league right now. So again, this opens up a breath for anybody that wants to get into darts. Come join the GSDDA. You're welcome. My guess is, even when we get back to getting into Poway and playing and actually having a physical space, we'll probably continue to do some remote stuff, just because there are going to be folks that aren't comfortable coming back at first. So I see this as a new wave within the darts community, and a way for us to grow and build it. So Bob, thanks again for being on. And I do want to make sure that I give a shout out to Shot Darts again. Everybody, go check out shotdarts.com. Bob is a lover of Shot Darts, even though he doesn't play their barrels. He still loves
I have their board.
To look at. That's right. You do have the Bandit Duro. So
that is a great board, by the way. Excellent board.
It is an excellent board. I love it. Everybody asks me about it, and I'm like, just go get one. You got to have one of those. So, but Bob's he's a shot lover, even though he's playing as Phil Taylor. So I won't hold that against him. And you do not want to play this guy.
He's right there.
There you go. There they are. You don't want to play this guy because he is much better than he says he is. But thanks for watching, and check out Magicwear for your darts jerseys. And again, Jennifer Mounson's going to be on in a couple weeks, and we're going to talk more darts with her. This is Thursday. So Monday, we're going to have Matt Stoner on. We're going to talk Darts Connect and some of the cool things that they're doing. So check that out Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Sorry, Bob, you got the 7:15 slot. Sorry about that, but you get to enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Matthew. Thanks, Atomic Darts. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys on Monday.